The whole point of this mode is to help new players and casuals learn the game in a low risk, fun and non-stressful environment. They get to learn the modules of the maps, how to deal with the mobs and how to deal with bosses and sub-bosses without the threat of PvP. There will be no gear score bracket in adventure mode, so you can enter with any gear you want, including unique and legendary. General loot, loose loot and loot from normal chests will go from common to rare. Bosses and high tier chests like the Marvelous chest will have a chance to drop epic loot. You can still find and farm quest items and craftables, but none of the items you find in the PvE dungeon will be tradable or sellable on the market. It will only have a queue for trios, but you can choose to go in solo or fill if you like. Bossing in PvE will be the same as in normals. The bosses will always spawn and be in the usual place. Griefing will be possible even though players can't damage other players. This means if you see another player running away from mobs or fighting a boss, you can still hit them with a debuff and get them killed. They claim you won't be able to just stand in doorways and block boss lairs, but I don't know what they're going to do to stop this from happening. 0 to 24 has been removed and there will only be one gear score bracket of 0 to 124. General loot like loose loot and loot from normal chests will go up to epic. Bosses and high tier chests will have up to legendary loot, however you won't be able to find any artifacts or uniques. Bossing will be like normal and they will spawn in the usual places. High Roller will now have a bracket of 0 to 224 and 225 plus. General loot like loose loot and loot from normal chests will go up to legendary. Boss loot has also been buffed. Bosses and high tier chests will have up to unique. However, you won't be able to find artifacts from the 0 to 224 bracket, you will only get them from the 225 plus bracket. Bosses in High Roller now require you to spawn them with specific items. Some of these items will come from sub-bosses. You can spawn the specific boss you want, but the loot it drops will be limited to the loot table specific to that boss. The old style leaderboard will be coming back. IronMace also acknowledged that ranking up and gaining adventure points is not really skill based. We won't get a rework for this system this swipe, but they are working on something for next swipe. We also have a new lobby skin and skeleton skin. We have multiple Twitch drops coming, however they only revealed one of them called the Hungering Lantern. They announced that there will be new general mobs, but they didn't reveal them yet. However, they did reveal two mobs which look to be either sub-bosses or bosses. They are the Abomination and Cerebus. We also have a new skin for the Spellbook and a new skin for the Torch. STF announced that he's working on some new artifacts. They won't be coming this swipe, but they are working on them. Merchants have now been reworked. Merchants that did not provide quests previously now have quests. So every merchant in the game should have a quest. The way you gain affinity for merchants and the way you unlock crafting tiers has also changed. However, they didn't tell us the exact details. Quests also now have more content in general and will take longer to complete. The Expressman mechanic is also coming back. They're adding a solo queue to Arena. You will still end up as a trio, however you won't go up against pre-made teams. They're still working on ways to stop class stacking, as it was still possible before while filling as a solo in Arena. Both the water map and the gathering hall have been delayed for at least 2 to 3 months, so we most likely won't see them until next wipe. I think the PvE mode is a good addition to the game in general, mainly because we need more players. But I think griefing will be the hardest thing for these devs to counter in this mode. Learning how to grief people will become its own little minigame for a lot of people. The economy will also change a lot. Even though you can only get up to epic tier loot in PvE, this means that you can basically build a cheap high roller kit for zero cost. Why would anyone buy any epic tier items at all from the marketplace if you can just run a bunch of PvE mode for free and build kits this way? Combining both brackets into one should speed up the queue times and also fill the dungeon with more players, so I think it's a good thing overall. The slightly reduced loot tiers hurts a little bit, but it's not really the end of the world. though people are going to cry about min-maxes more than ever now. The new boss spawning mechanic seems like it could be fun, as long as it's not just a cheap grindy mess to acquire the items needed. Being able to spawn the specific boss you want is also pretty cool. Zero to Hero playstyle will also be fun, but it's going to piss a lot of people off when they lose a legendary kit to someone in a Squire kit. Not being able to get artifacts out of 2 to 4 high roller doesn't feel like a good change to me, especially since you need to spawn the boss like you do in the higher bracket. I like the new gilded skins. I'll definitely be buying both the lobby skin and the skeleton skin. The Abomination and Cerberus look cool, but they were bought directly from the Unreal Asset Store. This doesn't really bother me as we already know a lot of the stuff is bought from the Asset Store for this game. The wipe will be on 10th of April, so that's about all the info I have for now.